Alright, what's up guys? Today we are back with some racing games and we are going to talk about Assetto Corsa Competizione. The PS4 version, of course, playing with a controller. I know not everybody has a wheel, so, well, I don't have a wheel, so I have no choice but to play with a controller. So yeah, we're going to talk about it in this game. In this video. I will do a separate one for the multiplayer because there's a lot to say about that one too. And I'm very picky on that subject because in racing games nowadays, I could care less about single player content. I have no interest in playing against the AI. It's boring to me. So I go straight to the multiplayer, right? Tracks I don't know, I go into training, I practice on those offline, and then when I'm ready, boom, hop online and play my way. We're gonna talk about gameplay, which includes physics, handling, collisions, graphics, the visuals and sound, mostly. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the first thing and the main thing in a racing game is the gameplay, which includes the handling, the physics, and the collisions. Physics and collisions, pretty much the same thing, right? But yeah, let's talk about that. From the first AC to this one, there is not any big or huge difference in terms of handling. And this I can clearly remember because of how the car reacts, right? There isn't much a difference. You're gonna feel at home if you played AC a lot. It's pretty much the same thing. Where it's gonna change though is with the controls. Because with the controller, between AC1 and this one, AC1 was fine, right? But I don't know what happened in this one with the default settings. When your car is when your car is going out of control and you're trying to correct to save it, in this game, it's pretty much impossible with the default settings. Like, I tried so many times, it is extremely hard. So I had to figure around with the settings and find ones that work with me, and here they are if you're curious. But yeah, the default controls in this game, especially if you're not playing with stability control on, it's very hard. And don't even get me started with turning off steering assist. If you turn that off, you're basically saying you want to lose because without that, it's a nightmare. So don't even try. Trust me. So yeah, the controls in this game by default, no bueno. They are not as bad as Project Cars 1 at launch, but they're still not the greatest one. It is not ideal. Let's move on to the handling of the cars and the collisions. Like I said earlier, the handling is very similar to AC1, but I feel like it feels a little bit more, how can I say this? I don't want to say realistic because I've never driven a GT3 car, but it makes sense. Yes, it makes sense. How the weight transfer goes from one corner to the other depending on your speed, the angles, especially in Mont Panorama. That's where you see that physics in this game feels it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. If you mess up your entry and your speed in that track, oh man, you're gonna hit the wall. You are going to hit the wall. So yeah, it feels very. I always want to say realistic, but yeah, it makes sense. Let's just say that it makes sense. So handling of the cars and physics, pretty nice. However, the collisions are not good. Let me explain. In this game, if you touch even lightly the smallest tap to another car, it is going to be nightmare either for you or for them. Most of the time for them, depending on where you touch them. But the control, I mean, not the controls, the collision in this game are not good. I don't remember if it was the same story for the first one, to be honest, because I didn't play it that much. I don't remember. But in this one, the collisions are not good. And that is not something you really want because this tied into how people are approaching the online aspect of the game when they're trying to fight for position online. I'll talk about this in the next video when I'm going to talk about the online, but most of the time you do not at any point in time want to get in contact with another car, especially when you're turning. It's just a big no. And if you touch someone else, most of the time you're gonna make them spin or lose control, and you're gonna feel bad because you did not want to do that, right? So the collision in this game, no bueno. And yeah, I'll touch again on that on the next video. Let's touch on the graphics now. And as you can see, the game doesn't look that impressive. Now, it has its good point and bad point. The loading times are pretty fast, especially when I compare this to Project Cars 2. It is night and day. This game loads pretty fast for a racing game, pretty fast, and that is very nice. However, if you're looking like a game, it looks like a game that came out 5 years ago or 6 years ago. It does not look impressive whatsoever. Obviously, the models of the cars are very nice, especially if you're looking them on the showroom. They are very nice, but only on the showroom. When you look at them like in the wild, they are not that impressive, and that is, I think, due to the color palette. It feels like even with the sun very high in the sky, it feels like the game is soulless in terms of colors. It's a bit sad, you know. It doesn't have any pop. It's not interesting to look at, really at all. Same thing for the textures. The textures in most car, they feel like they are all the same, especially on track. In the showroom, they feel very, very specific, very different. But on the track, they feel all the same. They're lighting up the same way. And well, let's talk about the lighting. The lighting, not impressive again. And the fact that it is not impressive helps with the the loading times and stuff. But come on, man, we are in 2020, and even though this is a console game, I feel like we deserve better. However, where the game kind of shines is the sound. And I had my opinions on the sound in this game, especially with the first one, because I didn't feel like it was sounding, very good. But in this game, I kind of understood why some sounds are like they are. Let's start outside, because that's the part that I don't like. With my beautiful GT3 Huracan, outside, between AC1 and this one, it is the exact same thing. Listen. The exact same thing. It has that weird echoey sound. I don't know. Well, I didn't understand what it was. But when you take up different cars, when you're going on a straight line, you hear that sound. But when you go in a turn, what do you hear? Well, listen. That, people, is the sound of the wind. And this was very clear when I drove the, what is it? 650S or 675 LT GT3 or something like that. The McLaren. When I drove that one, that's what I understood. It is the sound of the wind. Because when you turn with that car, you do not hear the the engine anymore, especially if you're in second or third gear. It is it's a bit ridiculous. Does that feel good? No. But does this make sense? Yes. Now, which one would you rather take? The one that makes sense or the one that sounds good? You know, that's really a big debate, because like I said, this game make sense in terms of physics, and if you translate that to sound, I feel like they did the same thing where it makes sense. If you have a camera placed at that position when the car is going really fast because of the spoiler, the wing, you are not necessarily going to hear the exact sound of the car, especially at those speeds. So it kind of makes sense to have the sound of the wind at that point, right? But we are so used to only hearing the sound of the engine, of the exhaust from behind in racing games, that in our head it feels like that's what the car is supposed to sound like, but it's not necessarily the case. So yeah, that aspect of the game is debatable. Personally, I don't like it. It sounds stupid to me, especially the GT3 cars, especially my beautiful Lambo. I don't like it. I really don't like it. Doesn't sound good. But if you don't want to listen to that, if you want to listen to something amazing, we have to go with the cockpit view, which has been what's the word? Rightfully praised, and for good reason, because people, well, listen to this. Beautiful, just beautiful. But it's not perfect. It is not perfect. So the sound to me is 50-50. Inside, in the cockpit view, is fantastic, but outside it's stupid to me, right? So yeah, that's it for the sound. And well, to finish, overall, I am enjoying the game in terms of gameplay, but that's the big but. This is what's gonna link this video to the next one. But the online experience is not going to grab me for long in this game, and I'll explain this in my next video. Finish on this first impression of Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's an okay game. It's nothing crazy. It's definitely an improvement from the first one in terms of the amount of cars that you have, the liveries, right? The tracks, but it's kind of a setback or two-step backward in terms of collision control. Yeah, collision control and online. Well, no, online is kind of an improvement, but yeah, I'll talk about it in another video. And yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. God bless you as usual, and bye bye.